Ladies and gentlemen, it is rebuild time yet again, and today we are taking our talents to the Bundesliga to take over RB Leipzig. Now, we are using a updated database on FM22, and Leipzig actually have one of the most interesting, young, exciting squads that you can get your hands on in Football Manager. That's why I wanted to take over them. I wanted to use the players like 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, the likes of 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 in the team, and see where we can take this team from the start of the 2022-2023 season over a 5-year period and see what we can do. Can we overthrow Bayern? Can we go on and maybe win a European trophy? Let's start things right here, right now, before the start of season number 1. So guys, the most important thing about this RB Leipzig team is some of the potential of some of the players in this squad. Now, I have used the data update, so we have the updated best, most recent squads that we have up until the end of the transfer window going into the 2022-2023 season. Now, I've used the data update and I've used a custom start date to get things as close to real time as humanly possible. I will leave a link down in the description for that video that you can go and check out, but I will have to say, because I use the custom start date and the data update, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, for instance, is at RB Leipzig. Now, in theory, in real life, he should be on loan at Valencia, but I do have him here. But there are some incredible players that I do have at my disposal. First of all, I will touch on 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, the former Barcelona guy. He is in real life on loan at Valencia this season from RB Leipzig, but I will be starting him, don't you worry. This is my favorite central defender in this year's game, Josko Gvardiol. He is elite tier. I've got him in my network save where we are Real Madrid, and he is a monster. Again, 20 years of age, he will be starting. Interestingly, returning from Chelsea, we have Timo Werner into the returning into the Bundesliga. We have Timo Werner. He is now a RB Leipzig man. Obviously, we are using this data update, and I actually think he's going to do quite well in the team. We've got Timo Werner. Some of the other players that I will touch on, Nkunku is a very good younger player. Dani Olmo is okay. I think he's personally part of Fraud FC, but it's fine. They've signed Benjamin Sesko. We all know about Benjamin Sesko in this year's Football Manager. Potentially not as high a potential as we have seen in some of these instances with Benjamin Sesko. Dominik Szoboszlai, again, is another player who I love in this year's game. So there's a lot of young talent, and I will be trying to continue that theme as we move forward through these 5 years. In terms of the tactic, guys, we will be running my 4-1-2-1-2 diamond formation, which I have released as well. That will be down in the description. Compared to the one that you guys will download, this is not a Carrilero. Just change it to a Carrilero. Everything else is the same. This is what I'm using in my network save as well with Real Madrid. It's tried and tested, and I will be using it as such. I will be pinning these 4 players in their positions as well. Gvardiol will be playing, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 will be that Carrilero, Szoboszlai will be the Mezzala, and Benjamin Sesko will be up front. I will be pinning these guys when we do go on holiday and simulate through the course of the season. In terms of the competition, so the board wants us to qualify for the Champions League via the Bundesliga, and it says that they're not judging in the DFB Pokal or the Champions League, but I'd like to be pretty successful in both of those. In terms of the Bundesliga, though, if we go into the season preview, Bayern are, of course, 1-4 favourites. They do have Mane in their team as well. They do have Matthijs de Ligt as well. So the team is looking pretty star-studded. Dortmund, Haaland-less, I will say. And then ourselves are 20-1 to win the Bundesliga title, and we are positioned in that 3rd place. We do have a player in the Media Dream 11, which is Timo Werner. So I'm hoping he can go in and have a very good season on his return back to the Bundesliga. In terms of everything else, guys, it is pretty self-explanatory. It is pretty straightforward. So let's dive into it and simulate season 1. And I will say, because I don't always say this, I simulate by going here, clicking on my profile, clicking on go on holiday, and I usually just click this box here, use the current match tactics. But because I want to pin those 4 players in to make sure they get as many minutes as possible, I'll be ticking this one, setting this to the end of the season, and going on holiday. Right, let's get simulating for season number 1. So the end of season number 1 is in, and using this team, this formation, this tactic, we have done, in my opinion, pretty darn well. We have finished second in the Bundesliga. We are behind Bayern Munich. We are 12 points behind Bayern. We kind of lost and dropped too many points. Their goal difference of 68 is just absolutely bloody ludicrous. However, we did get to the final of the Champions League, where we did take on Liverpool and we did lose 2-0. Timo Werner scoring 10 in the entire competition. Jota and Luis Diaz with the goals for Liverpool. Unfortunately, we did struggle against them in this final, not really being able to impose our will on Liverpool all too much, but they do have a good squad despite what is happening to them in real life. In terms of everything else, though, we are knocked out in the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal by Mainz, which is very, very disappointing, but all in all, I think we've done pretty darn well here. 6 draws, 6 defeats, all mostly away actually, to Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich. We also lost to Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Frankfurt and Dortmund are the 6 losses throughout the course of the season. In terms of our players, though, Timo Werner, top goal scorer for us, highest average rated. He has done very, very well. Szoboszlai also churning out 24 assists from that Mezzala position. Obviously, he is our corner taker as well, so he's done really, really well. 10 goals, 24 assists in all competitions for a man playing in central midfield. I think he's done very, very well and has the potential to go even to another level after this. In terms of going into season number 2, this is the Bundesliga, so 1, I can register pretty much any player I like. There are no work permits for me to worry about. Also 2, the financial implications of playing in the Bundesliga. The league is pretty good. You get a lot of TV money, you get a lot of prize money. So I have £110 million to improve this team. Let me know down in the comments where you would strengthen this team and who you would try to bring in to fit this ethos of a younger Red Bull Leipzig team. Let's move forward into season number 2. Starting things off with a transfer update, then we do have some players that I do have to talk about leaving the club. Alexander Sorloth has gone, Forsberg gone, Benjamin Hendricks gone, Caden Clark gone, David Raum, is that how you say that guy's name? He's gone as well. Yusuf Poulsen also gone as well. We had a couple of players come in. Martin van der Voort, the young goalkeeper from Genk, is a pre-arranged transfer. He will be joining RB Leipzig in real life at some stage. But we've been out and spent some cash. Now, this guy, Tanguy Nianzou, he is at Sevilla. Not Barcelona, Bayern Munich do have a buyback clause for Tanguy Nianzou in real life. I did not want that activated. I did not want him to go back to Bayern, so we went out and purchased the man from Sevilla who wanted to move to a slightly bigger club. He's 6'3". He is a physical specimen. Again, I've got this guy at Real Madrid in our network save, but we did pay 65 million for his services. Had a very good season in La Liga for Sevilla last year, so we've brought him back to the Bundesliga. I've also gone out and signed Caligari, the right back from Brazil, from Fluminense. Very, very well rounded. I like this guy a lot. I haven't used him for a long while, so we bring him in to play at right back for us instead of putting Lucas Klosterman there, who played there all last season. We've also gone out and signed Nicolo Varela from Juve. He is going to be our anchor at the base of that diamond. Really good in that position. Yes, he's a little bit shorter at 5'10", but he's got great stamina, great determination, and I think ultimately will be a very good player to play in that anchor role. And we've also gone out and signed Sebastiano Esposito. He is a squad player for us, a rotational option, but I think I like him as a player who can do that. We paid 13.75 million for him from Inter, and hopefully he can get some games under his belt whilst he is here. In terms of the team and stuff, what we will be doing, we will be pinning players in certain positions again. Most likely this is the sort of way you're going to see players here. If we take Schlager out of there, take Olmo out of there, we'll take Timo Werner out and Andre Silva. So this is kind of how we're going to be running things moving forward. We're going to put Ravella in at that anchor, and we're going to pin these players in these spots as well. Benjamin Sesko actually didn't have a fantastic year last season. 14 goals for us in the Bundesliga, despite starting almost every game. We need to kind of try and figure out a way of whether we develop him or whether we pivot and go in a different direction. In terms of the competitions we've got this season, the Bundesliga, the Champions League and the Pokal, they want us to reach the final of the Pokal this season, but only be competitive in the Champions League, and they want us to continue to qualify for the Champions League via that Bundesliga, which again, Bayern Munich are favourites to win, but nowhere near as close as they were last season. They do have the entire Media Dream 11, which is mad. bad, we are predicted now to come in second. We were 20-1 last season, 13-1 in season number 2, and Hertha, having been promoted back to the Bundesliga, are predicted to finish in 4th. In terms of everything else, guys, that is it. Can we end the dominance of Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga in this season? Let's simulate and find out. End of season 2 then, and we have done a little bit better. We've closed that gap on Bayern, but unfortunately are unable to overturn them at the top of the Bundesliga. They win the league with 81 points. We finish second with 71 points. However, we have picked up our first piece of silverware. We have secured the DFB Pokal trophy. Obviously, winning that final is quite nice to see. We did take on Freiburg, and we did beat Freiburg 3-2 in that final. 2 goals from Timo Werner and a Christopher Nkunku goal, all in the first half, secure the victory. Freiburg looked like they did start fighting back, but unfortunately we were too strong and able to see it out for the end of the game, lifting ourselves our first piece of silverware with this giant golden trophy. As I said though, however, Bayern little bit too strong for us in the Bundesliga. Timo Werner, top goal scorer again, looks like he has put his time at Chelsea behind him, and he is starting to move things forward. What I will say about this team and about this young squad is I'm hoping that as they get slightly older, the performances and levels start to go up and up and up. So hopefully this team gets better each season on each season. Again, as I've touched on, we are in the Bundesliga. We have money. This club has got loads of it. We also have another £116 million to improve this squad going into season number 3. Let's see who we can pick up. The season 3 transfer update is here, and I've done a little bit of wheeling and dealing to get a little bit extra in terms of some of these funds to go out and reinforce this team. Some of the outgoings: Hidara has gone, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 has gone, Konrad Laimer has gone, and Peter Galeski, I butchered that, I'm sorry guys, have all departed the club to various clubs. 21 million for the bulk of that, securing us in 40.5 million pounds, which we've gone out and spent well in excess of. So we've been out and we've been pretty busy. Nuno Mendes joins the club from PSG for 50 million pounds. I am in the process of trying to sell Angelino, the actual left back for RB Leipzig, to get a little bit more cash back in. He has left for 50 million pounds. Tino Livramento comes in. He is 80 million pounds coming from Southampton. Again, an Englishman joining me in this team. You love to see it. Another Englishman is Conor Gallagher, who's come in again from Chelsea, not really playing at Chelsea. 11.75 million. He was transfer listed. He comes in and joins. Another player who actually, interestingly enough, wasn't getting enough minutes at Chelsea, Wesley Fofana, one of the best young centre-backs in the world, is at RB Leipzig. 73 million pounds we paid for his services. After having a pretty good year at Chelsea, he was just unhappy, so we just went, yeah, we'll have a taste of that. So now I have Fofana, Gvardiol and Nianzou as my centre-back core. It's almost as if I should go at 3 at the back, isn't it? But Wesley Fofana joins the club as well. We've replaced the goalkeeper that has been outgoing. We've gone out and we've signed Dominik Livakovic, the best actual real-life goalkeeper, in my opinion, for Football Manager. He's fantastic, got great one-on-ones, great reflexes as well, good throwing distribution as well as his positioning as well. Very good upgrade in the goalkeeper position, if you ask me. And we've gone out and we signed Renan Lodi as well as a backup option for that left back slot. Can kind of play anywhere up and down that left hand side should we need to switch to it. So in terms of some of the competitions, guys, we've got the exact same competitions as normal. We've got that Bundesliga, the Champions League and the DFB Pokal. But having won the Pokal last season, we also do have the Super Cup, where we take on Bayern Munich in the season opener. In terms of the Bundesliga, though, if we go into the season preview, I'm hoping we're closing these odds. We are. Bayern are still the heavy favourites to win the division, but we are now 7-1. So this could be, season 3 could be the year that we end this Bayern Munich dominance. Because if we take a look at this past winners section, it's been a long time since Dortmund overthrew Bayern Munich, and hopefully Leipzig can be the club to do it again. Let's simulate the year and see how season 3 goes. So season 3 was the season to overthrow Bayern, but It has a little caveat because I don't think we probably have done as well as we should have done. Yes, okay, we've won the Bundesliga. We've actually won a domestic German treble. We've won the Pokal, we've won the Super Cup, and we were knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But we have won the Bundesliga. Let's expand the Bundesliga and take a look at things. If we go onto the stages and we take a look at the full league table, we have won the division. Don't get me wrong, we've been good enough to win it, but we have had 75 points. Now, if you look at the total, Bayern won it last season with 81. The season prior was 84, and the season prior was 77. So the gap is actually not great. It's the worst points return that we've seen for a champion out of Germany for a while, but Bayern just fell off. Too many draws and 6 defeats, losing against us as well. All their defeats coming away from home, but ultimately it was our goal scoring prowess that did us the favors as we move forward and are crowned Bundesliga champions. We did retain the Pokal, beating Bayern in that final 2-1. Thomas Müller scoring for Bayern, and then Timo Werner and Esposito returning the favours as we retain that Pokal trophy. In the Super Cup, we beat Bayern on penalties again. Nothing too spectacular here. Thomas Müller scored 2 for Bayern. Timo Werner and Gvardiol scored for us. Goretzka is the man who missed the penalty, and all of our players scored the penalties, the players that took them. Werner, Szoboszlai, Olmo, Mariba, and Nkunku, Hartmann, and Nianzou all slotting their penalties. So a domestic treble in season number 3, but we're still unable to really crack that Champions League bubble. We are now the best team in Germany, which does allow us a little bit of extra in terms of that reputation. We've now got 120 million. Obviously, the Bundesliga is absolutely crazy in terms of the finances. It's almost as bad as the bloody Premier League. Let's go and spend 120 million on this team that has just won a domestic treble. I wonder how we could improve it. It's the transfer update going into season 4. We have reinforced, and boy have we reinforced. There was a transfer that I did forget to mention at the wrap up of the last check-in. There was a double transfer, 1 in, 1 out. We sold Andre Silva to Bayern Munich for £40 million. He was extremely interested in going and moving to Bayern, so we sold him for 40 million quid to Bayern and our league rivals. That did prompt us to go out and sign a centre forward. We picked up Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. He wasn't happy with his playing time, so we managed to get him at a cut price deal on deadline day of 15 million quid. However, I've been shopping with the money that we've got, and we've got a couple big dogs to talk about. Dani Olmo is a big exit for us, though, going into season number 4. He has joined Liverpool for £60 million. But we've gone over and we've kind of raided Serie A. Dusan Vlahovic joins the club from Juve, the big Serbian, for 80 million quid. He is just elite tier in this save, in all saves, to be perfectly honest, since his winter upgrade. He was wanted by PSG, he was wanted by Man City, but I came in early in the transfer window and secured big Dusan. We also signed Nicolo Zaniolo. We lost Dani Olmo, replaced him with Zaniolo. I think this is a slight upgrade. As I mentioned, I think Olmo is part of Fraud FC, in my opinion, in Football Manager. I can never really get a good tune out of him. Zenagri comes in as a squad player, a defensive midfielder option, a rotation player for Ravella. But he is a good central midfielder option. He is a beast as well at 6'3", so I'm hoping he can be a little bit of a reinforcer there. And we've also gone out and signed a squad player, Cassio Nathan from who's that? Palmeiras, from Palmeiras over in Brazil. 18-year-old centre-back. 5-star potential, 2-star current ability. We needed a squad player to kind of be that centre-back 4th, 5th option maybe, and Nathan comes in to be that guy. I think he can really improve whilst being in the Bundesliga. In terms of the competitions, though, we have the same 4 competitions as we have had again in the Bundesliga. They just want us to keep qualifying for the Champions League, keep that money coming in. They want us to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, win the Pokal, and they don't care about the Super Cup where we take on Bayern again. Have we got some more respect on our name? We've kind of closed the gap a little bit on Bayern in terms of some of the players. Some of their players getting a little bit older, as you can see on screen. Manuel Neuer, 39 years of age at this point. We're starting to get a few more players in the Media Dream 11. Fofana, Mariba, Zaniolo, and Dusan Vlahovic are all in there, but Bayern are still favourites to get the job done. So fingers crossed we can kind of retain our Bundesliga title and maybe have a little bit of a run into season number 4. Let's get that simulation done. I'll see you guys in a second. So guys, I did a bit of a stupid. Usually I save these in increments as we move through at the start of each season and at the end of each season. I obviously got too excited at the end of this season and just powered into season number 5 without saving a stopping point for the end of season number 4. So I flicked back over to the schedule so that we can take a look at things. In the Super Cup, we took on Bayern Munich in that final at the Red Bull Arena. We beat them 3-1, relatively comfortable. Matthias de Ligt with the consolation goal for Bayern Munich, and Kunku, Szoboszlai, Gvardiol, the youngsters all chipping in to get the job done. If we take a look first and foremost at the Bundesliga, you can see we are title holders. If we go into the stages and take a look at last season, a little bit of a better return, but Bayern again have fallen off. Another season with 68 points for them. We hit the 80-point mark. We also scored 90 goals in the Bundesliga and only conceded 25. This team was firing on all cylinders. 26 victories, 3 draws, and 5 defeats throughout the course of the season. We have done very, very well there. Hoffenheim, Bayern, and Dortmund all secure the top 4 spots. Wolfsburg and Cologne go into the Europa League, and Freiburg go into the Europa Conference League. So we move back into the schedule so that we can continue to talk about last season. We had an interesting Champions League group. We were in with Dinamo Zagreb, Manchester United and Sevilla. We did power through that one and ultimately go into the knockout stages. But as you can see here, there's some big results coming against some of these teams. There's an 8-3 here against Dinamo Zagreb. There's a 7-2 against Bayer Leverkusen. Dusan Vlahovic coming up trumps, being the absolute brute that we know he can be. In that first knockout round of the Champions League, then we took on Juve. We comfortably dispatched them 6-2 on aggregate, as of course at the same time we are simultaneously moving through the rounds of the German Cup. A nice little 7-0 here against Schalke. In the next round of the Champions League, though, we come up against PSG and we beat them 3-1 at the Red Bull Arena. Then we, in the return fixture over in Paris, we drew 2-2 to move ourselves into that semi-final. Speaking of semi-finals, we also progressed through the semi-finals of the German Cup. Dusan Vlahovic with a hat-trick in a semi-final. The big Serbian moving things forward quite nicely. Into the semi-finals of the Champions League, we take on Manchester City. We beat them 3-2 away at the Etihad, doing really nice things there, scoring 3 goals inside the first half, absolutely tearing this team apart, and then Goncalo Ramos and Angelino with the goals back for Manchester City. In the second leg, we draw 0-0 at the Red Bull Arena, meaning we do go into the final. And speaking of finals, first of all, we talk about the German Cup final. We retained the pokal for the 3rd season in a row. Vlahovic and Timo Werner basically bookending the game. Vlahovic scored in the 1st minute. Timo Werner scored in the 95th minute to secure that trophy. We then go into the Champions League final where we take on Real Madrid, and who else but Wesley Fofana scoring a set piece, a real smash and grab if you look at these match stats to get the job done. We score set pieces, and set pieces win you championships, guys. Please do not undervalue set pieces in Football Manager. So the season was very good. We had a lot of cash to spend going into this 5th and final season, so I'm not going to beat around the bush. Let's get into season number 5 right now. So we're talking transfer updates first and foremost. Timo Werner is wanted by a lot of clubs, but I'm not letting him go for that little money. Some of the players I do need to touch on that have left the club now. Conor Gallagher left the club in the January in season number 4. He went to Crystal Palace, interestingly enough, for £28.5 million. We have had a couple of other outgoings. Darwin Núñez was wanted by Manchester City. He's actually done pretty well at Leipzig in the time that he was here. Manchester City came a-calling and paid £51 million for his services. A fantastic profit on him over the course of a season and a half. So they had too many strikers. We bought one of their strikers back. Goncalo Ramos, the former Benfica man, comes in to partner Vlahovic and Werner up top as a deadly front 3 who can play in any of those 2 positions between the combination of them. and it's the first time I've used Ramos in this year's game. We also gone out and signed a new gen Rocco. Fronzek comes in from Schalke. He looks like a very promising youth prospect. Really nice physicals on the guy. He is listed as a wonder kid. He is resolute in terms of his personality. 17 positioning and 17 determination for a guy who's 18 years of age. Fantastic little player. And he's German. Got caps for the German national team. Lovely stuff. We also signed another new gen centre half from Porto. Again, I'm liking these sort of wonder kid players, guys, so we've gone out and signed him. Again, as a couple decent options. We spent 135 million pounds in that window, so the team's looking pretty darn tasty. If we were to quick pick going into this 5th and final season our best 11, this is how the team is looking. We've got Livakovic in goal, Livramento, Fofana, Nianzou, Gvardiol, Ravella, Elax Mariba, Szoboszlai, Zaniolo, Vlahovic and Ramos. This team is elite, and I'm hoping the big Serbian can fire us to another set of titles. I do have to say, in his season for us last year in the Bundesliga, or in all competitions, he outscored his goals in terms of his number of games. He had 46 games played, 48 goals scored for the big Serb. He is a monster. Let's simulate this 5th and final season. I won't mess it up this time, and let's see how we do. So the 5th and final season of this RB Leipzig rebuild or build is over, and we've secured 4 trophies, which is not too shabby at all. Obviously, we were the Champions League winners, so we had the UEFA Super Cup. We do go into that against the winners of the Europa League, which were Barcelona. Vlahovic and Ramos scoring there, and Griezmann did the goal for Barcelona. Did the goal, bloody hell. We also secured the Pokal for yet another year in a row. 4 in a row, 4 in 5 for us in this rebuild video. We absolutely dominated mines. 6-0 in the final. 2 for Mariba, 2 for Ramos, 1 for Nianzou, 1 for Livramento. We're just too good, especially in this German Cup. The DFL Super Cup, we win that one again, this time taking on Hoffenheim. No Bayern in this competition this time. Easy walking out, 2-0 victors. Vlahovic, Ramos, again, strike force doing very, very well. We secure the Bundesliga. Again, not a fantastic points return for the boys. 77 points to only beat Bayern by 2 points towards the end of the season, but luckily our run got us there. Bayern dropping 2 points in that penultimate game of the season could potentially cost them, because they did have a better goal difference than us anyway. So ultimately things went pretty well. Champions League, annoyingly, we were knocked out in the first knockout round by Liverpool. Not great for the team that has just won it, but we did lose 4-2 on aggregate to Liverpool, who are currently being managed by Didier Deschamps. So ultimately, this save has gone pretty well. I think we've done really, really well in terms of some of the trophies. If we go to the home screen, go onto my profile, and we go onto my history, and my job history, you can see how well we've done throughout the course of these 5 years. Second in the first 2 years in the Bundesliga, but we did pick up that Pokal in season number 2. Ever since then, we've dominated the Bundesliga, dominated Germany, and picked up several trophies on the way. If you were to take over this save, you've got 160 million to spend and an unbelievable squad, and you can do that by joining the Discord. The link will be in the description. Come on in, join the Discord, be part of the community. I post all the saves to all these rebuilds in my Discord, and you guys can pick it up and play it from this moment. But if you have enjoyed this rebuild and you would like to watch another one, take a look at this video popping up here, which is another rebuild that I've done with another team in FM22.